Hyundai is in its second renaissance. To say that it's got a lot of new products now. You've got the Stargazer, the Staria, the Creta, which we all love, by the way. But what about those nameplates that made Hyundai a household name? I'm talking about the likes of the Santa Fe and more importantly this, the Tucson. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2023 Hyundai Tucson GLS Plus. Now, while I have absolutely nothing against the new generation, in fact, we love all of them and we have reviews of them all over our YouTube channel and of course our website, AutoDeal.com.ph. On today's episode of Behind the Wheel, I'm going to show you guys just exactly why you should never, ever forget the nameplate Tucson. Are you looking to compare prices for your brand new car? Well then, visit AutoDeal.com.ph, select the car that you want, and choose to request for a quote from our network of over 500 official dealer partners nationwide. Within minutes, you'll start receiving offers from the dealers you've selected. All that's left is for you to select the deal that's best for you. Get the best deal on AutoDeal. On all the new products of Hyundai, you'll note that there is a new design on the exterior, which is apparent also on the more expensive Tucson, such as the parametric grille, which incorporates the DRLs actually very, very well. Very upmarket, really. You've got your headlamps found here and your fog lamps found down below. There are holes on the sides of the headlamps which actually work. They work to channel the air out to the sides. You've got lines on the hood that work very well into the grille. The whole package in itself is really very cohesive. I like the way that it looks very strong and elegant at the same time. Now, down the side, you are looking at 19s wrapped in 55 series tires with disc brake all around. You've got a roof rail up on top and a chrome garnish here that sort of like accents the entire roof. I quite like that. Not the biggest fan, however, of the piano blacks found outside the automobile. They look good, but in an area where it might get, kind of fingerprint magnet-ishy. Underneath, you are looking at 181 millimeters of ground clearance paired with what I think, or what I believe, is a lot of great lines down the side. It works well to mimic the parametric grille all the way down the side, and I think it does so very, very well. If you will notice, there is a portion here where the two lines sort of like have no connection, and that is important to me because hindi kaya ng latero yan. Zero chance of mimicking that. So this thing take care of this car very, very well. Now at the rear, we'll start at the top with your shark's fin antenna, followed by a spoiler with your third brake light, a large pane of glass. Down here, you've got a light that crosses the entire width of the automobile, which I, again, quite like. You've got fangs that come down very nice here. Your reverse tail lights are found down below and your fog lamp as well. What you can't see on this automobile is the exhaust because it's hidden underneath. No fake tips here, which Jack absolutely loves because he hates fake exhaust tips, which I can understand that. The other thing that's also hidden is the third wiper, which is found right under here. It's tucked underneath the third brake light. Now, it's not exactly revolutionary by any means necessary, but I like the fact that it is hidden. It just makes it look all clean. Unlike other automobiles where the third wiper is actually sticking out here and it's waving back and forth, you can see it all the time. And it's either like John Cena where you can't see me, or it's like The Rock's giving the people's elbow to some unknown suspecting dude. What heck? When you open her up, when I figured that out, yeah. When you open her up, the compartment is definitely large enough to carry one balikbayan box, even with this tonneau sticking out. When you remove the tonneau, it is large enough to carry 4, even 5 balikbayan boxes. And that is actually pretty amazing. What's also amazing about it is that when you fold the seats, it's flat all the way through, from the lip all the way till the tip of the
back.
I was getting there, Jack. I was gonna say back. I can't. It's hard. Hop in the back seat and shoo the fly away. There is most definitely a lot, and I do mean a lot of space inside this automobile. 3 adults of my size, I got them. Shouldn't be an issue because the tunnel is not very high. So a third passenger,
no problems. The leather is good leather. However, the color, that remains to be seen if it's really the best in the business. I'm not sure if this automobile started out as white leather or as gray leather. If it was gray leather from the very beginning, then we're okay. If it was white, well, that's what you get after time. Okay, so toys back here include 2 air vents found here in the center, which is good so that you don't have to share. Immediately below, you've got 2 USB charging points. On the door, you've got bottle holders, which I don't think can fit Jack's large bottle, nor will it fit my smaller insulated bottle, but plastic bottles, which are not so good for the environment, but they do fit ever so snugly. On the door, you also have some piano blacks found in areas that are going to be touched a lot. So not really the greatest of things. But this small strip of piano black I like because it just adds a lot of flavor to it. So do the textures that are found on the door. There's a texture here, then a different one here, then a different one here. Speakers on either side. Center armrest, yes, if I can get to it, with 2 bottle holders. And then, of course, your ISOFIX tethers found on this side and on this side. One downside that we did find, not the greatest of downside, but just a small downside, is the fact that the center seat belt is a lap belt. It is not a 3-point belt. And, well, at this price point, you don't expect lap belts anymore. You really want something that you can pull from on top and fasten you from 3 points. What's also cool is the fact that you can adjust these seats to your comfort, right? It can be very straight and back some more. Not only can you adjust the seats for your comfort, but it also adds more space for the rear, because as you move forward, the tonneau actually has a second area where you can move it back even some more, so you can create more space and cover anything that you have at the rear, which is actually a pretty good function. And then lastly, I'd like to show you, again, that's my normal driving position. Look at the amount of leg room that I have. Massive, massive, massive. Headroom, very, very good. Now, I know a lot of people out there will say, big deal, Kako sitting behind himself is no thing, but what would it be like if Jack were sitting back here? We'll show you that right now. Jack's a normal sized person, Kako's not. Now, Hyundai calls this part of the dash much like it mimics a waterfall. As you can see, sort of like this is like coming down kind of a thing. It's nice and it's very, very well built and nice and smooth, and it goes from one side of the car to the other. But like a waterfall, it's not exactly perfect because there are some missing gaps every so often, like here and on the door. Not the biggest of gaps, but still something that you could see. You wish that it was integrated or executed a little bit better. But it actually works for me. Next up, you've got a 10.25 instrument cluster there with your digital gauges and whatnot, when your trip computer found in the center. Here in the center, you've got an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system that is wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto ready. I like that very, very much. And on your steering wheel, you've got your buttons for your infotainment as well as your cruise control. And what I like also are paddles found in this automobile. Continuing down the center, you've got your air controls found down here, which is nice because you can get to your air immediately, as too with your audio. Then found down here is your wireless charging pad, which is large enough to fit even the largest of Samsung's phones. It should, because this car's Korean after all. And then you've got your USB charging points here in the middle, and then your 12-volt socket, which is hidden quite nicely, I might add. And then I don't know if you can tell, but there is a blue ambient light found right there. In the center, you've got 2 bottle holders or / cup holders. You've got your button for your reverse camera, which is odd because the button for the reverse camera is there, but when you press it, you should be able to change it from like side to side and whatnot. Unfortunately, there is only a reverse camera inside this automobile. So this makes me think that there could have been a 360-degree view system inside this automobile. Continuing on with the cup holders, you will not, again, fit Jack's large bottle, but plastic bottles should not be an issue. And then you've got this quite large console box here, which is big enough even to fit this plastic bottle and close it. That's actually pretty cool. On the doors, you've got bottle holders as well. They are not cup holders, they are bottle holders, which will again fit the plastic bottle very, very easily. There are some downsides inside this automobile. Like for instance, the lights in here are not LED. You'd expect it at this particular price point. Not a deal breaker, but still. And then it's as if Hyundai said, Kako doesn't like piano black. Loco. It's like bam, 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 bam. There is piano black all over this. From the instrument cluster to here, to even the stalks on the car are piano blacks. Man, and here too, on the steering wheel, I just noticed that. That is most definitely a lot of piano black. Not the biggest fan of it, but yeah, I guess when it is clean, it does look very, very elegant. Now, last are your gears, or the lack of gear lever, because it is buttons, which I actually quite like because it's quite ergonomic. And the fact that they're parked right there, reverse, neutral, drive, parking brake, that actually feels very, very good. Doesn't take a lot to get used to this. It's really not an issue whatsoever. And then the last, obviously, is the drive modes found inside this car. You've got Sport, Eco, Normal, and Smart. I'm going to show you that here right now. You've got Eco, Normal, Sport, and Smart. Smart I actually quite like, and it's available on the Creta and of course the Stargazer as well, which is really cool because you just let the car do all the thinking for you depending on whether you're heavy in traffic or you want to get onto the twisty roads, which we will get to somewhat now to describe to you just exactly how good the power plant of this car is and the suspension and really how it feels on the road, which is why I said in the very beginning you should never ever forget the name Tucson. But before we do please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video if you deem it necessary, because we create these videos, you guessed it, just for you guys. When you first hop into the automobile and you stop oogling at it for being so elegant, it will immediately drop its pants when you floor it, because oh man, this thing will shock you in a really great way. Now, how it does that exactly? It's done with 183 horses, which is good already, but then it's got 416 Newton meters of torque. Jeez Louise! And that's not to say that the power isn't contained well, because the chassis of this automobile is so tight that you will absolutely love throwing it around corners. Yes, 181 millimeters of ground clearance will give you some body roll, but the confidence you have inside this car driving it around is just superb. And that doesn't even mean that the comfort of this automobile takes a hit. No, not at all. Currently, I'm in Smart mode. So the car is very light on the steering, engages well with the road. It's very comfortable inside this cabin. And yet, if I need to drive this thing like a hoodlum, I know that I can. Not only is it quiet when you're inside traffic, as all automobiles are, but even on the highway, I don't want to seem like I'm gushing on the automobile, but it is just even serene on the highway. Then there's the fact that because it's a diesel, it's very fuel efficient. Well, to an extent. Inside the city, you can relatively get about 8 to 10 kilometers per liter depending on how heavy the traffic is. On the highway, when things open up, you can do anywhere between 14 to 16 kilometers per liter, which still is not bad considering that you can, like I mentioned earlier, drive it like a hoodlum every once in a while. Though your fuel efficiency will really go down, but at least it'll put a smile on your face. Woohoo! But as a figure for mixed driving, bit of city, bit of highway, expect roughly about 11 kilometers per liter. That's obviously, of course, when you're not driving it like you stole it. However, as perfect as the drive is, there are some imperfections inside the automobile. Like for instance, sometimes the infotainment via either wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto, sometimes it does cut out, which can be annoying. Then tech could use a bit of a bump in the sense that, yes, it does have a reverse camera, but again, like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the interior, a 360 degree would have been nice. And then there's also the fact that, granted, yes, there is cruise control, which I love. I am not a fan of more adaptive cruise control features, but like Jack pointed out in many videos before, that at this price point, it would be good to have that option there because it does, after all, try to keep you as safe as possible inside the automobile. So yeah, I get that. But there are features that I love inside this automobile, such as the drive modes, as we mentioned earlier. That you can go from eco to normal to sport to smart, one of my favorites. And then, if you do want to get racy, there are the paddles on the automobile. And it's not always just getting racy with the paddles. I mean, sometimes you just want a little bit more control of the car when you're ascending or descending. And then there's also the fact that this is a traditional 8-speed automatic transmission. It's not a DCT, it's not a CVT. So it's got characteristics that I love about it, which is that it's smooth and snappy. Smooth in the sense that you can drive it normally, and whether you're in traffic, it won't surge forward. When you're on the highway, it selects the proper gear. And snappy, which is in the sense that if you do want to overtake, you can put your foot down and then it overtakes with ease, whether you're in eco or sport or whatnot. It works very, very well. There's not much that you will need to complain about when you're driving this automobile, truthfully. And to add to its smoothness, this diesel engine is actually quite refined. Yes, there is still that grumble that you will get from a diesel engine, but not as loud as the other, say, diesel engine SUVs that you get out there. It's acceptable because you understand that there's over 400 horses, or rather 400 Newton meters of torque available on your right foot. And I guess it's somewhat of a compromise, yes, granted. Because, well, I can forgive it because when I decide to drop a gear with the paddle shifters and hit the throttle, I can get quite racy inside this automobile. It is very, very fun. Now, while I can throw this car around corners all day long, and I can throw numbers at you all day long too, because that's just interesting, there is one number that I really should throw at you. Its price. Great drive, great suspension, great engine, but wait, there's more. Back in 2019, the Tucson came in at 1,835,000 Philippine pesos. 4 years later, a good 4 years, the Tucson is now available at 1,840,000 Philippine pesos. Only a difference of 5,000 pesos, which may not speak a lot to a lot of people, but if you think about it, other car manufacturers have increased their prices by 10, 20, 50, even hundreds of thousands of pesos since 2019. I dare say that comparing this model, this 2023 model, up against the 2019 Tucson with only a 5,000 peso difference, I say that this automobile is worth every single peso it is today. I truly believe that.